It's a very special thing. These units dedicated to these moments and practice endless hours.
All right, guys, welcome. Trump is meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel. They're going to be talking about the Middle East, really contentious topic, you know, a lot of opinions. Just curious what they're going to say.
And also a form of protection there as well. Wouldn't mind having Marines standing outside of.
Yeah, this is RSBN. I haven't seen anyone else live yet, so we're going to stick in here until maybe Associated Press or something is live. Actually, let me check that now. It might already be live.
Both sides of the East Room there as the president walked down to the room. And we're going to see that today again, this time alongside the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So if you're just joining us right now, of course, we're going to go there live as soon as we see the Prime Minister, and then we'll bring you every ounce of live feed that we have here at the network as we see things develop. So speaking of developing news, if you just are joining us now and you missed the top of the broadcast, the Superdome on Sunday will have President Trump in the building. This is the first time a president has ever been to a Super Bowl. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I actually did not know that. No, I always thought that someone of the membership, the fraternity that is really tight-knit, maybe they don't all talk on a regular basis, but of course only a few people holding this glorious office. I thought someone would have had to have attended, but I guess they tend to enjoy, you know, from home or on vacation. So
yeah, and usually,
interesting.
You know, in Super Bowls past, for those of you that really love the NFL, I know there's a lot of college football fans out there. I'm a college football fan. So are you, Rob?
Let's go to Associated Press
for those of you
real
that love
quick.
the NFL, you'd always hear the president make a phone call to the winning quarterback
Actually,
or the winning coach
Trump
at the end, congratulating them, the winner of who
should come up. Here you go. Hopefully it's not another language. I think it is actually. Canal 13. Let's put this up. Nice, zoom into the wall. Perfect view.
That wind is taking me, man. I got scared on that last one. I was going. My feet were lifted.
Doesn't that guy get tired of holding that flag like that? Shit, man, I'd be struggling.
I'm going through the briefing, grab my shit. Oh.
You guys hear the guy in the back talking? I gotta go grab my shit. Check what time this was scheduled for. I'm sure Twitter's going crazy right now. I mean X. Trump says Palestinians have no alternative but to leave Gaza, and he would like to see Jordan and Egypt take them. volume up a little bit. Bow! Perfect. Now we just wait. Thanks for joining, 2 people. I just started streaming yesterday, so... Oh, the door's open. Hold on now. Hold on now. Hold on now. This is already more entertaining than the protesters not getting arrested yesterday. False alarm. Was a false alarm. Damn, I've had this tag on my head this whole time. Nobody put it in the chat. No, none of you 3. Alright, put it in the chat now. What do you think Trump's gonna say? I think it's gonna be opposite of what he's been talking about this entire time. I think the flag guy got tired over here on the right. He dipped out. I'm gonna take notes on what these guys are saying. Trump plus Netanyahu. Yahoo.
We found love
Meeting.
in a hopeless place. We found love in
Let me see what time this was supposed to start though. Morning student walkouts will begin posting if they become violent and large. Oh, okay. So that's another thing I'm gonna stream. There's apparently student walkouts, and they're gonna start protesting. Maybe we'll see. FBI has turned over the names of 5,000 employees who worked on January 6th cases to the U.S. Justice Department, according to CNN.
What's up, man? What's up, buddy? How you been?
Good, how are you?
Good. All right, hold up.
Yeah, can't complain, living the dream one day. How about you?
Treading water here, man.
Yeah.
Just treading water.
Hey, look, he's putting you guys to work, man. Keep me all gainfully employed, you know?
Somebody attempted to climb into the White House fence, and the police took him down. That's crazy.
These guys in uniform, how they looking? I want an expert to tell me.
Good.
I mean, was it short shine? I mean,
You know, I didn't see that. I haven't inspected. Let's get the old white glove test, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Anyway, good seeing you. Take care.
what's he doing? Secret Service? Secret Service entered the chat. It's the American flag and I guess the Israeli flag. Well, I can't really tell. It's blue and white, but it's kind of... Can't tell. Oh, here we go. There's more people coming now. What is this?
ready, post.
kind of want to quickly see if there's another stream, because this one's just been in the same place. Nah, seems like that's probably the only one. There's also RSBN. But RSBN talks and does their own thing. I just want to see live.
What would they need to do, sir, to get their act together?
Well, you got to be fair to countries that deserve fairness. They have some countries, as you know, that are outliers, that are very bad, and they're being almost preferred as countries to those that do their job and are doing a good job. And they have to really, they're going to end up losing, a lot of countries, they're going to end up losing their credibility like other organizations, and then they're going to be nothing. The potential of the United Nations, and not everybody agrees with me on this, the potential of the United Nations is fantastic if properly run. So we'll see what happens.
How much money are you willing to take away from them?
Well, we're taking away a little bit, but we're not looking to take away money. This is so important that we're really, as you know, the United Nations is largely funded by us. But, and it shouldn't be, it should be funded by everybody, but we're disproportionate, as we always seem to be. But it's something that if it ever lived up to the potential, in 10 minutes it would make up the difference. That's the kind of power it could have. Right now it doesn't have that power.
Next, sir, this is a national security presidential memorandum that seeks to impose maximum pressure on the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Many of these provisions are similar to actions that your administration took during your first administration. The basic idea here is
the same thing as his first presidency. No direct war, but probably some airstrike. I don't know.
Attempt to sanction and control Iranian activities, particularly relating to the Iranian nuclear program and the Iranian export of terrorism through support of various proxy groups abroad. And the intent here is to give you all of the possible tools to, I'd say, engage with the Iranian government to ensure that going forward they're less of a malign actor.
Let's see if this is part of the art of the deal. If he's going to say crazy things,
this is one
and
that I'm
make a deal.
torn about. Everybody wants me to sign it. I'll do that. It's very tough on Iran. It's what we had before. We would have never had the problem. You would have never had October 7th. We would have never had the problem had the election gone a different way, which it should have. But this one, I think, more than made up for it. I think we're doing things and it shows that more than made up for it, much more historic. The Iran situation, hopefully, I'm going to sign it, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it very much. We will see whether or not we can arrange or work out a deal with Iran and everybody can live together, and maybe that's possible and maybe it's not possible. So I'm signing this and I'm unhappy to do it, but I really have not so much choice because we have to be strong and firm, and I hope that it's not going to have to be used in any great measure at all. It'd be great if we could have a Middle East and maybe a world at total peace. Right now you don't have that. When I left, you had peace all over the world, and now you have the world is blowing up. As you know, Bibi is coming in to see me later. Others are coming in to see me. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, this was earlier.
I'm signing this, and hopefully it will be a document which won't be very important, will hardly have to be used.
So what kind of deal would you be prepared to
Well,
make
we're going to
with Iran?
see. I mean, we're going to see. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. With me, it's very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We don't want to be tough on Iran. We don't want to be tough on anybody, but they just can't have a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President, are you going to engage in conversations with your counterpart in Iran?
I would.
Do you want to block the sale of Iranian oil to other nations?
Well, we have the right to do that, and that's what I did before, and they had no money. They wouldn't have had the money for Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. It could have been solved. This thing, it just...
Let's make a deal. That's what he's saying. Let's make a
Things went the
deal.
way they should have. This would have been over long ago, but it's not over.
How close do you think Iran is to developing a nuclear weapon?
I think they're close. I think
feel like they've already
They're
developed
too
them.
close. But again, you could go back 4 years. I would have said they would have had it during this intervening period. But they're pretty close, Peter.
And why say that you're unhappy to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do. Not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why. Lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing this, and it's a very powerful document, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it.
Mr. President, if the Prime Minister today were to ask your help in striking at Iran's nuclear facilities to prevent the kind of progress towards a nuclear weapon,
I was going to say yes, so I was going to say something crazy.
Would you give him the green light? Would you, either to do it himself or for the U.S. to participate with him?
I don't know that that's what he's going to be asking for. I have no idea that it is. You're telling me. We're going to have a pretty long meeting. We're going to be discussing a lot of things, not only that, but a lot of things. And I'll let you know if the time comes to let you know. But right now, that's not something that I can discuss.
Mr. President, when you said if they do it, they get obliterated. Just to be clear, you're talking about if Iran made an attempt on your life.
Yeah, that would be called total obliteration. And I can't imagine they do that. It should have been stated by Biden, but he didn't state it because he had no clue, as you know, as everybody knows.
What is your vision, actually, for relationship with Iran?
Do you have anything else?
No, that's all we got.
My vision for
For a
what?
relationship with Iran, and what do you?
I'd love to have a good relationship with everybody. They can't have a nuclear weapon. That was the only thing that was very important. They can't have a nuclear weapon. Beyond that, it would be very tough if they insist on doing that. They have some of their leadership, I can tell you right now, and maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but there are many people at the top ranks of Iran that do not want to have a nuclear weapon just for that very reason.
Mr. President, what's your reaction to China's retaliatory tariffs?
It's fine. It's fine. We're going to do very well against China and against everybody else. Right now, they've taken advantage of the Biden administration like I've never seen. I've never seen. The deficit with China is about $1 trillion. Think of it, $1 trillion. They're using our money to build their military. And Biden let that happen. We're taking a lot of fires here. We came back. This is like a different place. The good news is we're doing very well. We're doing well with countries that nobody expected we'd do well with. We are respected again as a nation, maybe at a level that people haven't seen for many, many decades. But when I left, we didn't have any wars. I defeated ISIS, 100% of the ISIS caliphate, and now the world seems to be ready to blow up, but we'll see if we can stop it.
Mr. President, have you reached out to the Iranians about any kind of deal?
Say
Have you reached out to the Iranians about any kind of deal to start those
I
discussions?
would reach out. I mean, I have nothing. I see. I'm one that doesn't care whether I reach out or they reach out. A lot of people say, "Let them reach out, sir." And that, to me, it doesn't matter. It's just talk. But I want to see everybody do well. I want to see great countries, and I want to see peace in the Middle East and elsewhere. We're also working very hard with respect to Russia, Ukraine. That's a bloodbath. It's a total bloodbath. What's going on there is incredible. What's going on with the soldiers, young soldiers being killed by the thousands. I mean, literally by the thousands. And we want to see if we can get that stopped. And I think we've had some very good talks.
Any update on when you would speak to President Xi, sir? Any update on when you would speak to President Xi?
No, we'll speak to him at the appropriate time. I'm in no rush.
Do you
At the appropriate
Do you think that conversation can lend itself to the type of freeze that it meant for the tariffs for Canada?
Somebody came
Well, we'll see what happens. Well, there's a short-term freeze with Mexico, as you know, and with
I feel like these are all Secret
Canada.
Service.
But they've agreed to be very, very strong on the border, stronger than they ever were by far, by a factor of about 30. And in addition to that, as you can see, we've been strong because we've had numbers like you've never seen before. I mean, the border is now closed, really closed. And with that being said, we're letting good people come through, and we want good people to come into our country. But the border is closed.
In your talks with Prime Minister Netanyahu today, do you intend to press him about how many deaths there have been amongst Palestinians? Are you concerned about that death?
I talk about that too. You know, both sides mean a lot. I talk about that. I talk about the other side. I talk about everything.
What's your main message to him today during your meeting?
Well, I'm here to listen. He's here to see me, and I'm here to listen. So.
Will you
There's
continue
not
to
much of a
press?
message.
Will
At
you
the right
continue-
time, I'll give him my
Mr.
message.
President, will you continue to press for this idea that Jordan and Egypt take Palestinians from Gaza?
Yeah, I would like to see Jordan. I'd like to see Egypt take some look. The Gaza thing has not worked. It's never worked. And I feel very differently about Gaza than a lot of people. I think they should get a good, fresh, beautiful piece of land, and we get some people to put up the money to build it and make it nice and make it habitable and enjoyable and make it a
home. They
home.
don't want to leave, though. Palestinians say they don't want to leave.
I don't know how they could want to stay. It's a demolition site. It's a pure demolition site. If we could find the right piece of land or numerous pieces of land and build them some really nice places with plenty of money in the area, that's for sure, I think that would be a lot better than going back to Gaza, which has had just decades and decades of death.
Where would those pieces of land be?
Well,
if
they
those
could
Arab
be in
countries
Jordan,
don't want
and they
to?
could be in Egypt, and they could be in other places. You could have more than two, more than one, but you could have more than two. And you'd have people living in a place that could be very beautiful and safe and nice. Gaza's been a disaster for decades.
Would the U.S. pay for that?
I don't think the
States
UN would
contribute?
pay, but I think there's plenty of people that would in the area. They have a lot of money. They certainly have a lot of money. Some of the countries over there, they'd like to see it. I know that Saudi Arabia wants to see peace. I can see that. And many of the countries there, as far as I'm concerned, they all want peace. I think, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think Iran would like to see peace too. They've had enough. Don't you think they've had enough?
But the leaders of Egypt and Jordan have said bluntly they have no interest in doing this.
Well, they may have said that, but a lot of people said things to me. They said they wouldn't take anybody back in Venezuela, and right now they're flying them right back into Venezuela. And a lot of people, and they're doing the right thing in Venezuela. The Panama Canal is an active discussion right now. They said things about
Curious
that.
about that. I don't know what's going to happen with
And,
Panama.
Virtually everything that's been said has been incorrectly stated based on the result.
Doesn't that amount to
be able to
forcibly
return to
displacing?
Gaza?
Wouldn't that amount to forcibly displacing those people from Gaza? If
I
they
don't
say
think
they
so.
want
I think
to?
if they had the opportunity, they'd love it. If they had an alternative to Gaza, they have no alternative right now. I mean, they're there because they have no alternative. What do they have? It is a big pile of rubble right now. I mean, have you seen the pictures of it? Have you been there? It's terrible to live. Who can live like that? And very dangerous. There's shooting all over the place. There's bombing all over the place on both sides. Now, I would think if they had an option of moving to an area, either in a large group or various smaller groups, and take care of the close to 2 million people, I would think that they would be thrilled to do it. They have no, when you say about the Gaza Strip, they don't have an option.
To be clear, you're saying they'd be thrilled.
Very dangerous.
They'd be thrilled to leave Gaza.
Oh, I think they'd love to leave Gaza if they had an option. Right now, they don't have an option. What are they going to do? They have to go back to Gaza. But what is Gaza? There's practically not a building standing. And they're very dangerous. Those buildings are shifting and they're falling down all over the place. And there's gunfire all over. It's going to be that way for a while.
Mr. President, wouldn't it have made more sense to evacuate people while the war was ongoing rather than now when there's a ceasefire?
Which is what you're talking about.
When it was more dangerous when there were strikes overhead than now.
Well, the strikes could start tomorrow. There's not a lot left to strike.
Exactly.
It's a demolition site. The whole place is demolished. It's unsafe. It's unsanitary. It's not a place where people want to live.
Would you be able to return?
Nobody's got. They have no alternative but to go back. If we gave them an alternative of living in a beautiful open place with some, nice quarters there, nice housing of sorts, and we have the money in the Middle East to build that.
Do you support Israelis actually moving back and creating building?
Not necessarily, no. I just support cleaning it up and doing something with it, but it's failed for many decades. And somebody will be sitting here in 10 years or 20 years from now, and they'll be going through the same stuff, the wars. And you know, they've had civilizations on Gaza, many civilizations on Gaza, and they're buried in the sand.
Secretary
It doesn't seem to work.
Secretary.
Elon Musk, thank you, sir. On Elon Musk, how often are you talking to him? And have there been ideas that he's brought to you that you've said, oh no, wait a minute, this is going a little too far?
Well, many ideas, but look, he's done a great job. Look at all the fraud that he's found in this U.S. AID. It's a disaster what the people, radical left lunatics, they have things that nobody would have even believed. The whole thing with $100 million spent on you know what, with money going to all sorts of groups that shouldn't deserve to get any money. With the money, I'd like to see what the kickbacks are. How much money has been kicked back? Who would spend that kind of money to some of the things that you read about and I read about and I see every night on the news and every morning when I read the papers? Who would spend money for that? I would say this, the people that got all that money, are they kicking it back to the people that gave it from government? No, that's, to me, very, very corrupt. The real question is, how much of a kickback has there been? And one of the things I want to investigate rapidly, because I've never seen anything to this extent, the train that's being built between Los Angeles and San Francisco is the worst managed project I think I've ever seen, and I've seen some of the worst. Billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars over budget. In fact, I read where you could take every single person that was going to go on the train and get the finest limousine service in the world and take them back and forth with limousines, and you'd have hundreds of billions of dollars left over. It is the worst thing, and we're going to start an investigation in that because it's not possible. I built for a living, and I built on time, on budget. It's impossible that something could cost that much. And now it's not even going to San Francisco, and it's not going to Los Angeles. They made it much shorter. So now it's at little places way away from San Francisco and way away from Los Angeles. No, we're going to start a big investigation on that because I've never seen anything like it. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. The worst overruns that there have ever been in the history of our country. And it wasn't even necessary. I would have said, you don't buy it. You take an airplane. It costs you $2. It costs you nothing. You take an airplane. But this got started, and if you have to, you drive. You can drive.
Are there other agencies?
They have hundreds of billions of dollars of cost overruns, and it's not even the same project. It's much shorter. It's way outside of San Francisco and way outside of Los Angeles. So we're going to be looking into
Who's
this.
going to investigate that? Is that Doge who's going to investigate the train?
No, I'm doing that myself. No.
Some of these Doge engineers that Elon Musk has helping him are as young as 19 years old.
That's good. They're very smart, though, Peter. They're like you. They're very smart people.
Thank you. Have you met any of these guys?
No, I haven't seen them. They work actually out of the White House. They're smart people. Unlike what they do in the control towers, where we need smart people, we should use some of them in the control towers where we were putting people that were actually intellectually deficient. That was one of the qualifications, is you could be intellectually deficient. No, we need smart people. Some are young and some are not young. Some are not young at all, but they found great things. Look at the list of things. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'll read off a list of 15 or 20 things that they found inside of the U.S. AID. It has to be corrupt. Nobody could approve that. They could only approve that if they were getting kickbacks. You're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars.
And it sounds like you're going to wind down USAID.
It sounds like it. I mean, I think so. Yeah.
So when that happens, which part of the government?
Well, I could see Marco Rubio being in charge, State Department, because they're giving money to. I mean, some of the money is well spent, I guess, but much of it is really fraudulent.
And on the Education Department, why nominate Linda McMahon to be the Education Department Secretary if you're going to get rid of the Education Department?
Because I told Linda, I hope you do a great job and put yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job. Education Department. So we're ranked number 40 out of 40 schools, right? We're ranked number 1 in cost per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world, and we're ranked at the bottom of the list. We're ranked very badly. And what I want to do is let the states run schools. I believe strongly in school choice, but in addition to that, I want the states to run schools, and I want Linda to put herself out of a job.
Do you think that's something you can do with an executive order, or are you going to ask Congress to do it?
I'd like to be able to do it. Look, if I could give the schools back to Iowa and Idaho and Indiana and all these places that run properly, there's many of them. I think, so if you look at the list, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, believe it or not, China's doing very well on that list. A list of well-educated, where they run their school
Somebody just
system
commented,
well.
"Oh no, Newsom in
You
charge
have
of my school."
A lot of countries, not surprising names. I think that if you moved our schools into some of these states that are really well-run states, they would be as good as Denmark and Norway and Sweden and some of the other
allowing
states.
China
And then
to
you'd
send
have
ships through
the
their
laggards,
country.
and you know who they are. I don't have to go to it, but you'd have the laggards, the same laggards that are laggards with everything else, including crime. But even them, you'll break it into systems. As an example, if you went to New York, you go to Westchester County, you go to Dutchess County, you go to Suffolk and Long Island and Nassau and Long Island. You have maybe 6 or 7 locations, and you have New York City, which would include the 5 boroughs. And I think even that would run much better than it does right now. Same thing with Los Angeles or California. You'd have Riverside. You'd break it up into 6 or 7, but most of them would be states, and you'd have one. Like in Iowa, you give it to the state of Iowa. You give it to the state of Indiana. You give it. These are really well-run states. They don't have debt. They don't have problems. They don't have any crimes, relatively speaking, to speak of. And you would have education that would be the equivalent of Norway and Denmark and various other places that are at the top of the list. So we're at the bottom of the list, and we're the most expensive. We're at the top of the list when it comes to cost per pupil. We spend more money per pupil than any other nation in the world, and yet we're rated number 40. The last ratings came out, you saw them. So they talk about 40 countries. We're rated number 40. And I say that if we did this, we would go 20, 30 notches up. We could do great. And we would have some of the best districts in the world.
But are you looking to do that with an executive order, sir, or do you need to work with Congress?
Well, there are some people that say I could.
to
I
me.
think I'd work with Congress. I think we'd have to
How
work
do you guys
with the
feel about
teachers
that?
union, because the teachers union is the only one that's opposed to it.
Sending
Nobody
education
else
back to the states.
want to hold it back. Look, we have to tell the teachers union, we're rated last in the world in education of the top 40. We're rated last. We were 38. Now we're 40. We went to 39. We went to 40. We're 37. But we're at 40 now. The thing just came out. That's under Biden. Remember that.
Secretary Rubio announced a deal this week that would allow potentially American citizens who are criminals to be put in a different country. Is that something you're looking to do?
No, I didn't know that he announced that yet, but if he did, it's fine, yeah. We have hardened criminals, horrible people. You see them pushing people into subways. The train is coming.
I see it all the
last
time.
week.
It's so dumb.
Guy walking around, just sees somebody waiting
so
for
much
the train. Train's
unnecessary
coming
shit.
40 miles an hour, and he gets pushed into the subway. And that happens all the time. These are sick people. If we could get them out of our country, we have other countries that would take them. It's no different than a prison system, except it would be a lot less expensive, and it would be a great deterrent. Send them to other countries. If we could go a step further, in other words, we're talking about getting the criminals out of our country that come in through other countries illegally, right? The illegal migrants, as I call them. Well, we have people that are just as bad as them in our country. If we could get them out, I'd be very happy.
So you would pay El Salvador to
El
house
Salvador
them?
said that he wanted you to pay a fee for that. Would you pay that?
Well, it's a very small fee compared to what we pay to private prisons.
But under what
And a
authority?
very, very small fee. I don't know. We'll have to find that out legally. I'm just saying, if we had the legal right to do it, I would do it in a heartbeat. I don't know if we do or not. We're looking at that right now. But we could make deals where we'd get these animals out of our country. And if you take the shooters, the people that hit old ladies in the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, and walk down the street, the people that you see it, the people that take out a gun and shoot you for no reason at all, If we could get these animals out of our country and put them in a different country under the supervision of somebody that made a relatively small fee to maintain these people, because you know what? These are criminals. You call them hardened criminals. They've been in jail 40 times. There's one 42 times, and every time the person gets out, it's a he. Every time he gets out, he commits another crime within 24 hours, and it's a heinous crime. It's a rough crime. We don't want these people in our country either. We don't want them in our country. If we had the option to get them out and let them be based in some other country at a fraction of the cost, and frankly, they could keep them because these people are never going to be any good. That person that has been arrested 42 times or 22 times or 17 times and is all in for manslaughter and everything else and only gets out because of a very weak judicial system that only goes after people like Trump. They don't go after the criminals. They don't go after people like this. And they laugh at our law. If that took place, you would have a lot less crime automatically.
So, sir, you're exploring whether to allow this? Oh, on Guantanamo Bay, is there enough space there to accommodate?
There's a lot of space to accommodate a lot of people, yeah, so we're going to use it.
Can you talk a little bit
We
more
have it.
about
It's
why?
already up. We have it for nothing. But we can do less expensive and even more secure. We've had other countries come to us saying, we would love to do that. We would love to take your criminals and we'll maintain that. We'll be their jail. And I'm only talking for the most severe cases. Like, I watched that guy on tape pushing the man into the subway last week. That man that did that is a real bad guy. Many, many arrests. And do you think you're going to convince him someday to be good and a wonderful, wonderful citizen for our country? It's never going to happen. I want to get those people out. I'd love to get them out along with the illegal migrants. The migrants are rough, but we have some bad ones too. I'd like to get them out. It would be all subject to the laws of our land, and we're looking at that to see if we can do it.
What other countries have offered to take American citizens?
Say it?
What other countries have offered to take these American citizens?
Numerous, many. And Marco brought it up today. I'm glad he did, because a lot of people are thinking it. When I watch some of the crimes being committed in New York City and Chicago, look at Chicago, the volume of crime that they have, and the viciousness of the crime. These people are horrible people. And if somebody thinks they're going to be wonderful citizens someday, they're wrong. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're bad. These are hard, tough criminals. In many cases, they're crazy. They're absolutely crazy. But they're very dangerous. If I could get them out of the country and be in some other country where they're glad to have them because they make a small fee compared to what we'd pay to a private prison or to, put them in one of our prisons that cost even more money, I think it would be great. I'd love to get them the hell out of our country. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Let's go. Guys, let's go.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Thank you.
I don't want to say, but there's a certain quarterback that seems to be a pretty good winner.
And just last one, because you mentioned it many times. What do you think about Joe Biden signing on with a talent agency?
You got to be kidding. He signed on with a talent agency?
He does. He's got some entertainment agents now.
I think he's got bigger problems than that. I really do. I think he's got much bigger problems than that, but I wish him well. We inherited a mess. This place is a mess, but it's quickly being solved, the problem. We're going to make America great again. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Let's go. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Joe Biden is an actor now? Are you serious? Oh, the soldier came back. He's not tired anymore. I mean, the doors are open. I'm assuming he's gonna come out soon. But you never know. These things take forever sometimes. Trump makes good on his promise to prioritize
President Trump back at it again
choice.
in the Oval Office with a number of executive orders being signed there. A kind of a comical question at the end about Joe Biden. With
Joe
CAA,
Biden is an actor now.
Of course, the agency that represents so many people out there. What are your thoughts, Robert?
I mean, it's amazing how Joe Biden and Barack
Joe's going to be in the
Obama
next
have profited
Transformers.
off of the so-called service of being the president of the United States. Then you have this man who was truly successful on his own, building a real estate empire, a golf empire. How many businesses were started because of Donald Trump, and how many thousands upon thousands of people hired, many of them spending most of their careers at the Trump organization. And of course, you have the other two that Hollywood's depending upon to make fake stories up, and it's really extraordinary. On top of it, President Trump takes $1 per quarter to serve us. He donates the rest of the salary to the American people.
Shifting now to some of the crime he was talking about in New York City, when people were pushing people into the subway tracks and all of that terrible crime. I mean, at the end of the day, President Trump wanting law and order to increase. We're seeing that not only domestically, but also at our borders, and especially now that Mexico and Canada have said, okay, no more of the tariffs thing. We don't like that. Let's work with the United States. So we're seeing the president do some great things. Also, his picks for various cabinet positions, including the already, of course, sworn-in Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Panama and El Salvador, and just traveling through Latin America, visiting various embassies, doing a lot of great work on behalf of the American people. I mean, already the Panama Canal shifting out of China control and back into where it belongs with Panama, and then obviously the end spot for that would be the United States, for us to have control over something that we created back in 1914. So we are waiting for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to arrive there at the White House. So here's a little bit of the schedule of the day. The agenda basically is there will be a bilateral meeting at the White House between the two leaders, and then around 5:10 Eastern, a huge press conference in the East Room of the White House. We'll have all of that live coverage for you. We also just interviewed the representative from the Republican Jewish Coalition, Sam Markstein. That interview will be played in its entirety before the 5:10 press conference, as long as there are no live availabilities of seeing the president and the prime minister, maybe in the Oval Office. We'll just see how it goes as we are covering everything live here. We are also told, thanks to our COO, Grace Aldani, she sent us that email showing that the Prime Minister is actually going to be in Washington for the entire week and meeting with the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, tomorrow.
Right, that's an exciting thing to see. And the beautiful alliance between our two nations, and we know that keeping a strong Israel will in turn keep a strong United States abroad. So something that's exciting to see. I'm interested to see how this meeting develops and what is announced. Perhaps we have some outlets saying that President Trump is proposing removal of the Palestinian group over to Jordan or even Egypt. We'll see who will agree to that, other nations. Potentially that could happen. I could see that being something because we've had the two-state solution that really has not worked in the past. And it's good to see that this administration very pro-Israel, unlike the last administration. And just some other things we're keeping eyes on, too, over in Congress. The upcoming vote for Pam Bondi for Attorney General. Doug Collins won today with the confirmation vote of 77-23 in the U.S. Senate. And Chris Wright yesterday with Department of Energy, 59-38. So President Trump signing those memorandums and those gentlemen taking office as well. We'll see if Mr. Collins is sworn in by the Vice President later today. Very possible to see that.
Looking forward to seeing Kash Patel at the top of the FBI, Pam Bondi at the top of DOJ. We already have Pete Hegseth at the Secretary of Defense and Marco Rubio of State. And also about the Secretary of State, you know, at the department
this
there.
Takes forever.
If there's a live
just come out already. I
press
want to hear.
conference, or if there's a live press conference at the Pentagon or the White House, here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, we'll be able to have live feeds of various things that are happening. So it's great to be able to bring that to you, and we're going to bring you this entire coverage with the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, who is in town, who will be there for now about a week. So a lot to be covered there as well.
Another 30
he
minutes,
said just yesterday when he was boarding the plane in Israel that he's looking to see victory over Hamas, to release all hostages, and dealing with the Iranian terror axis and all of its components, and on. I mean, including broadening the circle of peace in the Middle East. As we know, in the first administration, the Abraham Accords, that was 4 peace deals, 4 peace treaties with 4 different countries there, with Israel and the United States and these other countries. So they want to broaden that as well. And I know it's a very, very difficult thing when you dive into Middle East politics and religion and all of that's going on. But at the end of the day, what we're looking for is freedom for the people of the world at the end of the day, right?
Well, and I think with the UAE, Bahrain, Jordan, even Egypt to a certain extent, all adopting some Western customs and realizing too that capitalism and free and fair trade can actually benefit their people and their leadership. And someone who's been, I think, really the leader on all this, at least from a Muslim majority country, has been the King of Jordan. He's been a very interesting man, really ever since Barack Obama was in office, and was quite a critic of former President Obama when dealing with ISIS. And we saw that the King of Jordan, also a fighter pilot himself, would actually go up and lead some of these raids against ISIS as a moderate Muslim, and someone saying that he does not want to see people killing in the name of God and these terrorists on the loose and on the run. So that's a great example of servant leadership, and someone who is literally a king. He's a monarch going up and leading his troops as a fighter pilot. Was pretty impressive.
It is, and also the
I've actually never
Iran,
looked into the King of Jordan.
I've seen videos of them on social media saying,
I'll
hey,
do
we
that
don't
in a
want to be
live.
part
Look
of
into
this
King of Jordan.
Islamic
That's
regime that is enforcing Sharia law and other things. They want to be free as well. So that is really what it comes down to. It's whether it's a dictatorship or whether it's something that is just a religious thing, whatever it is, at the end of the day, people want to be free like America is. And so we'll see what they talk about today. Of course, looking forward to the East Room of the White House, where the Prime Minister and the President will be having their opening comments there. And then we'll see what kind of questions the press has. One thing we won't see is Jim Acosta there with CNN. You remember back in the day, that great back and forth where President Trump was saying, no, sit down, you're fake news. And what a back and forth that was. Though. But still, obviously the White House loves the Constitution and the First Amendment, and seeing new media, and including conservative media, represented in various aspects in Washington, D.C., including at the Pentagon. So great to see that. And isn't that interesting that the Prime Minister is going to meet with the Secretary of Defense tomorrow, most likely at the Pentagon?
Yeah, it makes sense to reform what's taken place there, and also to be on the same page dealing with terrorist threats throughout the world. And we do know
I like how
that from the
Zelensky's never
campaign,
been invited.
That's what brought together people. Remember, President Trump actually received an endorsement from a Muslim Democrat mayor outside of Dearborn, Michigan, and outside of Detroit as well, in that metro area, that brought together people from so many different faith backgrounds, whether that be of the Jewish faith, of the Muslim faith as well, to support President Trump, because as he put it, people were safe, people were not dying under the first administration of President Trump like they have under Joe Biden. And that's why that gentleman ended up endorsing President Trump, and that's why you saw President Trump when he would visit Dearborn, Michigan, and have so much support in the Muslim community as well, because his philosophy is, I want people to stop dying. I want people to be safe and free. And it was the unnecessary death over the course of the last 4 years because of failed domestic and foreign policies that put so many people's lives on the line. And it has to change. And that's why the Abraham Accords were so powerful, so positive and strong. And I think we're going to see the second half of that. And that's why Benjamin Netanyahu visiting, it shows the importance of this relationship in order for world security.
Exactly. Seeing the White House there as we await the Prime Minister to pull up there and meet President Trump, as this is the first world leader to meet with the 47th Commander-in-Chief there at the White House. It is the leader of Israel, of course, the state of Israel, and we'll bring you that live coverage in its entirety, especially as soon as he shows up there. And if there is the open press aspect of the Oval Office, many times near that fireplace, you see both leaders sitting down, shaking hands, talking a little bit, and then the press will then move on to the East Room. Trail. And thank you guys so much for watching us on election night. More than
There you go, Associated Press. That's what I've been waiting for.
We've changed each other really good.
Very much so.
The best thing about Lena is
I'll be back. I'm gonna go grab some food.
Not everyone's life runs in straight lines. At Sophia, we get that. Our flexible, affordable, self-paced college-level courses help thousands of people just like you complete their degrees for only $99 a month.
I was forced to go long periods of time without seeing my children. Then I was accused of anything and everything. I can look at a father and honestly tell him, I know how he is feeling. I've been there, and I'm going to do everything in my power to help you get out of that place.
All right. Gotta move quick.
Here we go. BB just showed up. Trump just greeted him. What are those? What is that? What is that on the right? What is that thing? You see that? What the heck is that? I thought that was only conspiracies. No, I wasn't planning this. That's insane. Why is that there? What is that? Someone tell me in the comments, what is that? One of you have to know. What could they possibly be building right here? Alright, AP, it's time to go inside. They already went inside. Switch it over to a reporter. Done what? Here we go, the cavalry is coming. Alright, they're going in. Is that a... Yeah, he's got a camera. That's usually the cue. Roll in. Roll in. I'm still wondering what this is right here. What is that? I've never seen that. Damn, bro, this type of stuff takes forever. If I knew it was like this, I would have started my stream like right now. I went downstairs, I ate, I filled up my water twice, and Big Homie just showed up now. I should have known though, because Associated Press started like 10 minutes ago. Big moments. He's the first foreign dignitary to arrive in the White House under Trump's new reign.
Netanyahu has, through so many American presidencies, whether it's Obama, Biden, Trump one, and in fact before that as well, he has been the lone voice, always saying to the American president, whichever one it is who is sitting in this White House, you have got to deal with Iran. And what he means by deal with Iran is take them out, take out the nuclear facilities, stop them from getting a nuclear weapon.
Listen, I don't support attacking Iran, alright? I'm not on anybody's side per se, but I don't want any more wars, bro. Let's just get to peace. Let's get to peace. Let's start winning. And not just winning like as a country, like I want the globe to win again, you know? Like there was periods of time when everybody was advancing, you know? Not too many wars, just peace. Peace is the best policy.
It was extraordinary, it was historic, and it was broken by the first Trump White House. And clearly Donald Trump wants to further that. The problem is what happened on October the 7th and the aftermath. Gaza, the Palestinians, that issue. And Saudi Arabia's red line for normalization with Israel is a Palestinian state, a two-state solution, which Netanyahu has pretty much said he does not want, and certainly the people within his own government that are keeping him in power, some of them absolutely.
And that's the problem right there. That's the problem. It's not that people don't want peace. It's like, what's the solution, you know? It's hard. It's really tough. Problems back home are somewhat simple, but even since the first time Trump announced the Abraham Accords, like it was kind of working, but I'm like, dude, the Palestinian and Israel issue it's just one of those crazy issues where it's too difficult to fix. So if Trump can actually offer peace in the Middle East, I think he deserves a Mount Rushmore. Looks useful. What looks useful? Still waiting. Come on, Trump. Come on, BB. Somebody still has to tell me what this thing is right here. Are those the gallows? What is going on here? Are they eating McDonald's inside or something? I just hear sirens. Don't tell me there's another protest down there. I think it should be starting any second. I'm gonna go fill up my water. Hopefully it started when I'm back. This is ridiculous. Oh my god, this is taking so long. There's a protest going on and I want to go live on that. There's a UCLA walkout, so I gotta stream that too once this is done, but I want to do this first because the protests usually go longer, so that's fine, whatever. And they get crazier at night, so it's more entertaining. But I'm just curious as to what they're gonna talk about. I want to see their dynamics. But seriously, what's that building on the right over there? You got the White House, and then you have like that little construction building. What is that? I'm gonna comment down below. This is taking forever. I've been on for like 2 hours, probably more. I thought this was a lot quicker. One shot, 23rd and Alma, LAPD on scene of a shooting. One victim with gunshot wound to the arm, conscious and breathing. Suspect fled in a white Maserati. That's LA for ya. What else is going on? 7 minutes ago, LAPD setting up a perimeter in the area after a call of a guy with a gun on the roof. Air unit is also overhead. I'm assuming that's for the UCLA protest. Possible suspect is in custody. Dude, LA is not a real place. There's so much going on here. Broadway and Griffin, approximately 200 students marching in the area. Let's go to LA scanner. Nothing much. He's just waking up. Any day now. Any day. Let's look up on Grok. What time? Oh, we still have a little bit of time. We still have like 20 minutes. Let's go to the other stream then. Because at least they were talking. Get some information. Associated Press. Let's go to our... Let's see what CBS be talking's about.
Something that I can discuss.
Mr. President, when you said if they do it, they get obliterated. Just to be clear, you're talking about if Iran made an attempt on your life.
Yeah. That would be called total obliteration. And I can't imagine they do that. It should have been stated by Biden, but he didn't state it because he had no clue, as you know, as everybody knows.
What is your vision actually for relationship
Do you have
with
anything
Iran?
else?
No, that's all we got.
My vision for
Or a
what?
relationship with Iran, and would you? what
I'd
do you
love to
think
have a
Israel-
good relationship with everybody. They can't have a nuclear weapon. That was the only thing that was very important. They can't have a nuclear weapon. Beyond that, it would be very tough if they insist on doing that. They have some of their leadership, I can tell you right now, and maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but there are many people at the top ranks of Iran that do not want to have a nuclear weapon just for that very reason.
Mr. President, what's your reaction to China's retaliatory tariffs?
That's fine. It's fine. We're going to do very well against China and against everybody else. Right now, they've taken advantage of the Biden administration like I've never seen. I've never seen. The deficit with China is about $1 trillion. Think of it, $1 trillion. They're using our money to build their military. And Biden let that happen. We're taking a lot of fires here. We came back. This is like a different place. The good news is we're doing very well. We're doing well with countries that nobody expected we'd do well with. We are respected again as a nation, maybe at a level that people haven't seen for many, many decades. But when I left, we didn't have any wars. I defeated ISIS, 100% of the ISIS caliphate, and now the world seems to be ready to blow up, but we'll see if we can stop it.
Mr. President,
break free with the new Opera GX.
I'm down on my knees, begging you please.
Oh my god. Lagging. All right, 9 more minutes left. 9 more minutes left, and then we'll be back. Oop, sorry. Alright, 8 more minutes left. It starts at 5:10 their time, and we're Pacific Standard Time here, so 3 hours apart. Here we go.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, do you expect phase 2 of the hostage deal to go forward?
going to talk to you later.
Mr. President, you managed to get this deal done. A lot of people say that the men who managed to do that should get a Nobel Peace Prize. Do you think that you'll be able to get all the hostages back home? And what would happen if you hear from the
They
Israelis
will
that...
never give me a Nobel Peace Prize.
What would happen if the Israelis...
I deserve it, but they will never give it to me.
What should happen, sir? What would happen
to go forward? What needs to happen for normalization with Saudi Arabia?
Well, we're going to see, and we're dealing with a lot of people, and we have steps to go yet, as you know, and maybe those steps go forward, and maybe they don't. We're dealing with a very complex group of people, situation and people, but we have the right man, we have the right leader of Israel. He's done a great job, and we've been friends for a long time, and we do a great job also. And I think we have a combination that's very unbeatable, actually.
Can I ask, what would happen, Mr. President? What would happen, Mr. President? What would happen if you hear...
Wait a minute. Wait.
I can't even hear him.
Where is that person? Where's that person coming from? Come on, go.
Mr.
You go.
President, what would happen if you'll hear from the Israeli side today that they're not willing to go through with the deal to get all the hostages back home and finish the war?
We'll see what happens. Whatever happens, we'll be prepared to handle the situation.
Are the Saudis demanding?
They just start screaming at him.
No.
Are the Saudis demanding a Palestinian state?
No, they're not. No.
Are they demanding a path towards a Palestinian state or any other recognition
Everybody's
of that
demanding one thing. You know what it is? Peace. We want peace. We want people to stop being killed. But everybody's demanding one thing. Very simple, peace. And he wants peace also.
Mr. President, do you think it's politically possible in Israel to get this deal done until the end?
To get the deal done?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, is it politically
Why wouldn't a deal get done? A deal can get done. We'll see what happens. We're dealing with very complicated people. But a deal can absolutely get done.
BB's like, what's going on?
See what happens.
President Trump, I want from Prime Minister Netanyahu. We have heard Joe Biden and Donald Trump take credit for the hostage and ceasefire deal. Who do you think deserves more credit?
I think President Trump added great force and powerful leadership to this effort. I appreciate it. He sent a very good emissary. He's helped it along. And, you know, I'll just tell you, I'm happy that they're here. And I'm sure the president is happy that they're here. And I would think that's about enough.
Prime Minister, what about Elizabeth Turkov, the Israeli hostage held in Iraq?
What about the Israeli press taking a press conference in Israel and not in Washington?
We would love to take a press conference to interview you, Prime Minister Netanyahu.
This is intense, boys and girls.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, do you support going forward with this deal and getting all the hostages out?
I support getting all the hostages out and meeting all our war goals that include destroying Hamas's military and governing capabilities and making sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again.
Are you willing?
All three.
Are you willing to
those
agree? Are you willing
things
to
go
agree?
together?
Are you willing
Can you
to agree
promise to the
Trump's
families that
vision
you
to
do
bring all
everything
the
to get the hostages out?
I think that I should talk to
One
President
at a
Trump,
time. So
okay?
I'll ask, do you agree
This is
with
so
Trump's
funny to
vision of getting all
watch.
the hostages back home, even if it means to end
It's just good because usually
Well, I'm
Trump's
not
getting
sure
most of the heat, and this time it's like BB's taking some of the heat too.
What the president's vision is, you can ask, he can speak for himself. He does that very, very well. I have my own views, 3 goals, not 1, not 2, 3 goals, and I will meet all 3 goals. I think the president can help enormously. He brings fresh thinking.
Any address to the
Fresh
fact
thinking.
that terrorists who murdered hundreds of people released to their home was the part of the deal?
It's a horrible thing. We can't forget it. I'll never forget it, and you can't forget it. And some people want to put it out of their memory, but we're not going to ever let that happen. It was a horrible day, October 7th. That was a horrible period of time. And a lot of people like to pretend it didn't happen. It happened. It's a big group of people that like to pretend it didn't happen, like the Holocaust didn't happen. Same mindset. And no, we're going to get this thing wrapped up, and we're going to get it done. We're also dealing, I think, very successfully with Russia, Ukraine. We're going to hopefully get that one done at some point in the not too distant future. That's a complex problem also, but we solve problems. We'll, you know, when I left, we had no problem. There was no Ukraine and Russia fighting. There was no October 7th. There was nothing. And some very poor leadership led to a lot of problems and a lot of death. And it's a shame, but we'll put it out. We'll put out the fires. We have a lot of fires, but we'll put them out.
Mr. President, why do you still support a Palestinian state like the peace plan you presented in January 2020? Is this plan still on the table?
Well, a lot of plans change with time, and a lot of death has occurred since I left and now came back. This death occurred not while I was here, but while somebody else was here. It shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have allowed it to happen. It would have never happened, and that includes Russia-Ukraine would have never happened. Not even a little bit, not even a chance. But now we are faced with a situation that's different, in some ways better and in some ways worse. But we're faced with a very complex and difficult situation, but we'll solve the problem.
Mr. President, refugees get from Gaza, out of Gaza? If not Jordan, Egypt, what other countries you think might accept Palestinians from Gaza?
Well, I think Jordan and Egypt will. I know they've spoken about it with you, and they say they're not going to accept. I say they will. But I think other countries will accept also. I think that Gaza maybe is a demolition site right now. If you look at Gaza, it's all, I mean, there's hardly a building standing, and the ones that are going to collapse. You can't live in Gaza right now, and I think we need another location. I think it should be a location that's going to make people happy. You look over the decades, it's all death in Gaza. This has been happening for years. It's all death. If we can get a beautiful area to resettle people permanently in nice homes and where they can be happy and not be shot, not be killed, not be knifed to death like what's happening in Gaza. And right now you have in Gaza a very dangerous situation in terms of explosives all over the place, in terms of tunnels that nobody knows who's in the tunnel. The whole thing is a mess. And I think that if we can resettle, and I believe we can do it in areas where the leaders currently say no. I mean, I've been saying that with Mexico, having to do with the border and all of the things, and you saw what happened, 10,000 soldiers, and they're going to do a good job. I really believe that, and I believe Canada is going to do a good job also. And they said the same thing, and then they did something much different than what you were hearing. This is a very, very difficult situation, but we're going to get it solved. I don't think people should be going back to Gaza. I think that Gaza has been very unlucky for them. They've lived like hell. They lived like you're living in hell. Gaza is not a place for people to be living. And the only reason they want to go back, and I believe this strongly, is because they have no alternative. What's the alternative? Go where? There's no other alternative. If they had an alternative, they'd much rather not go back to Gaza and live in a beautiful alternative that's safe.
Mr. President,
Peter?
Would Palestinians have the right to return to Gaza if they left while the rebuilding was happening?
It would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return. Why would they want to return? The place has been hell. It's been one of the meanest, toughest places on earth. And right now, I've seen every picture from every angle, better than if I were there. And nobody can live there. You can't live there. So if we can build them through massive amounts of money supplied by other people, very rich nations, and they're willing to supply it. If we can build something for them in one of the countries, and it could be Jordan, it could be Egypt, it could be other countries, and you could build 4 or 5 or 6 areas. It doesn't have to be one area, but you take certain areas and you build really good quality housing, like a beautiful town, like someplace where they can live and not die. Because Gaza is a guarantee that they're going to end up dying. The same thing's going to happen again. It's happened over and over again, and it's going to happen again as sure as you're standing there, Peter. So I hope that we could do something where they wouldn't want to go back. Who would want to go back? They've experienced nothing but death and destruction.
What will you do if
Egypt and Jordan tell you no? What will you do then?
Well,
It's not a very popular answer, but
I don't think they're going to.
What will you do if
I think they're going to tell Biden no, and I think they're going to tell other people no.
So you think it will happen at the end?
I think there's a good chance. Yeah.
How
I'd like
many
to see
people are you thinking about?
All of them. I mean, we're talking
All of
about
them.
probably 1.7 million people, 7, maybe 1.8 million. But I think all of them, I think they'll be resettled in areas where they can live a beautiful life and not be worried about dying every day.
Mr. President, do you support building settlements, Jewish settlements back in Gaza in the next years?
Say it?
Building settlements, Jewish settlements back in Gaza in the next year. Do you support this idea?
I don't see it happening. It's too dangerous for people. Nobody can go there. It's too dangerous. Nobody wants to be there. Warriors don't want to be there. Soldiers don't want to be there. How can you have people go back? You're saying go back into Gaza now? The same thing's going to happen. It'll only be death. The best way to do it is you go out and you get beautiful, open areas with the sunlight coming through. And
No, that's not what I meant.
Something
I meant
nice.
building Israeli
They are not
settlements
going to
back
want
in Gaza.
They are not going to want to go back to Gaza.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, what is your message to the families of the hostages that look at this deal, they're worried that this deal won't go through? What do you say to them at this moment?
Same message I said from the beginning of the war. Get them out, get them back. We got over 70%, close to 75% of the people who everybody believed will not get out. We got them in successive deals, and most recently with the help of President Trump. We're not going to give up on any of them, and we're not going to give up on our other war aims. Hamas is not going to be in Gaza, and we're going to get everyone back.
And you would not have.
Prime Minister, how optimistic are you about reaching phase 2 of the ceasefire? How optimistic are you about that happening?
Well, we're going to
Gaza,
try.
of course.
That's one of the reasons, one of the things we're going to talk about here. And
Is it possible
if we, you know, when Israel and the United States work together, and President Trump and I work together, you know, the chances go up a lot. It's when we don't work together, Israel and the United States don't work together, that creates problems. When the other side sees daylight between us, and occasionally in the last few years, to put it mildly, they saw daylight, then it's more difficult. When we cooperate,
isn't it the right
chances
time
are
to
good.
eat once and for all?
Say it.
Now that Iran is so weak, isn't it the right time to hit their nuclear facilities once and for all?
So you say Iran is so weak. I appreciate you saying that. They're not weak. They're very strong right now, and we're not going to allow them to have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You know, I signed a very strong proclamation. Iran was in big trouble when I left. They were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. You had no problem. October 7th could have never happened. When I left, October 7th could have never happened. And frankly, Russia and Ukraine, as I said, could never have happened. They became very strong very fast. They sold massive amounts of oil to China and everybody else who would not buy the oil when I was president, because we said, don't buy the oil. And they became very rich very quickly. But they're not weak. They're not weak. They're strong. Doesn't mean they won't be weak. But you know what? We just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
The Prime Minister, sorry, Mr. President, the Prime Minister wants you to strike Iran. That's what he wants.
You don't know what he wants. What do you know about anything? Go ahead.
But is that option on the table?
Yes, please.
President Trump, is that option on the table?
You're not just talking about Jordan and Egypt.
No, could be other places too. There are many people that have reached out, many countries, many leaders of countries that have reached out that would like to participate in that. Doesn't have to be Jordan and Egypt, but I think it would be also them.
Mr. President, your relationship with Mr. Netanyahu knew ups and downs. How do you describe it right
No, I think it's mostly ups.
Mr. President.
Palestinian Authority should it rule Gaza because Gaza will be empty?
What?
The Palestinian Authority, can it rule Gaza? What do you think?
Well, it's had a pretty hard time, wouldn't you say? I'd say it's had a pretty bad time of it.
Mr. President, Qatar has, you've criticized them in the past as a funder of terrorism, so as the Prime Minister. Do you think they're part of the solution or part of a problem moving forward?
I think they're trying to help. Qatar is absolutely trying to help. I know them very well, and they're doing everything they can. Very tough situation, but they're absolutely trying to help. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You'll see him soon. Thank you, guys. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. You'll see him soon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Let's go.
That was boring. I'm not gonna lie. That was very boring. I can't believe I waited for that. Yikes, 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 yikes.